Each morning, millions of people wake up caught in the same repetitive cycle: a cup of coffee, a long to-do list, and a mind burdened with expectations. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, am I truly living, or am I just racing against time? Too often, we allow ourselves to be swept away by meaningless goals, fleeting praise or criticism, and temporary emotions, forgetting the most important thing: our purpose in life. Take a moment to reflect on your life. Have you ever felt exhausted even after finishing your third cup of coffee? Have you ever let a small criticism ruin your entire day? Or have precious moments slipped by unnoticed, only to become distant memories? Life doesn't wait for anyone, and every second wasted on unimportant things is a missed opportunity to live fully. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This is not a warning, but an awakening, a call to action from Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest philosophers. Life is not a rehearsal. It is a one-time performance, and you only have one chance to make it meaningful. Don't let yourself be controlled by emotions, by praise, or by criticism. Don't chase after outcomes you cannot control. Instead, focus on your effort, your core values, and the present momentous, if this is the last time you'll ever live it. Ask yourself, if today were my last, would I be satisfied with how I lived it? If the answer is no, it's time to make a change. Don't let life pass you by in silence and regret. Wake up, take control, and live fully starting right now. 1. Purpose wakes you up, not caffeine. Each morning, millions of people begin their day with the same ritual: a steaming cup of coffee in hand, hoping it will jolt their minds awake and fuel them for the hours ahead. But what if the real energy we seek isn't found in a cup, but in something far deeper, something that doesn't fade as the caffeine wears off? What if, instead of relying on coffee to wake the body, we focused on a purpose that awakens the soul? Consider this. A man sits at his desk at 8 a.m., the second cup of coffee already drained. His body is alert, but his mind remains dull, weighed down by the monotony of tasks that feel meaningless. He's not tired because he lacks caffeine. He's tired because he lacks direction. Without a purpose, even the strongest coffee can't shake the fog of aimlessness. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Time, he reminds us, isn't the issue, it's what we do with it that matters. Think of those rare mornings when you woke up exited, not because of the coffee brewing in the kitchen, but because of the day ahead. Maybe it was a long-anticipated trip, a project you truly cared about, or an opportunity to connect with someone meaningful. On those days, you didn't need caffeine to pull you out of bed, because your purpose was already doing the work. Purpose, unlike coffee, doesn't just awaken you, it sustains you. Take Adam, a software engineer in London. On paper, he had it all: a stable job, a structured routine, and a disciplined lifestyle. Each morning, he'd run at dawn, sip his protein shake, and dive into work with machine-like precision. Yet inside, he felt hollow. It wasn't until a minor accident forced him to take 2 weeks off that he realized how much of his life was running on autopilot. Stripped of his routines, he began to reflect. One morning, instead of reaching for coffee, he sat in silence and wrote a single sentence: "I want to inspire others through mindful living." That sentence became his anchor, transforming his mornings from robotic habit to intentional action. This is the power of purpose. It turns ordinary days into meaningful ones, not because life becomes easier, but because you know why you're living it. Before you reach for your phone or rush to brew your coffee tomorrow, Pennsylvania, ask yourself, what do I want today to serve? You don't need a perfect answer, just a clear direction. Write it down. It might be something as simple as, I want to be more patient, or I want to create something meaningful. That act alone can center your mind and remind you that your day has value beyond caffeine. Purpose doesn't just energize, it transforms. It pulls you out of the haze of routine and into a state of awareness where every action feels intentional. As Viktor Frankl, the renowned peace psychologist and Holocaust survivor, wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. Coffee may wake the body, but purpose wakes the soul. And when the soul is awake, no amount of chaos can shake you." 2. Face the day ready for anything. Mornings often begin with silent promises of how the day should unfold. You set your alarm, plan your tasks, and expect the world to cooperate. Yet, life rarely follows the script. The traffic jam that wasn't supposed to happen, the email that derails your entire schedule, the argument with a loved one that leaves you unsettled. These moments, though small, can shake the foundation of your day if you let them. The problem isn't the chaos, it's the expectation of calm. The Stoics understood this truth deeply. They practiced what they called premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils. This wasn't a pessimistic exercise, but a practical one. By mentally preparing for challenges, they trained their minds to remain steady when life inevitably threw its curveballs. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It's not about fearing what might go wrong. It's about being ready when it does. Think of a chef in a bustling restaurant kitchen. Orders are piling up, ingredients are running low, and the air is thick with tension. Yet, the most seasoned chefs remain calm, their hands moving swiftly, their focus unbroken. Why? Because they've rehearsed this chose in their minds. They don't expect every shift to go smoothly, they prepare for the opposite. And so, when the unexpected happens, they don't panic, they adapt. Now, contrast this with our daily lives. How often do we let small disruptions ruin our mood? A spilled coffee, a missed deadline, or an unkind word can feel like the universe conspiring against us. But the truth is, these moments only have power over us because we expect life to be easy. When we shift our mindset and anticipate challenges, we reclaim our peace. We stop reacting and start responding. Take Daniel, a father of two and a small business owner. His days are a whirlwind of school drop-offs, client meetings, and late-night emails. One morning, his car wouldn't start, throwing his entire schedule into disarray. Instead of spiraling into frustration, Daniel paused and thought, "This is one of those I've prepared for." He calmly called a rideshare, adjusted his plans, and carried on. Later he shared, "It wasn't the car breaking down that mattered, it was how I handled it." This mindset isn't about expecting the worst. It's about building resilience. Before stepping into your day, take a moment to reflect. What might test me today? A difficult conversation? A task that feels overwhelming? A moment of self-doubt? Visualize these challenges, not to dwell on them, but to prepare your response. When the moment comes, you won't be caught off guard. As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Life is unpredictable, but your mindset doesn't have to be. Approach each day with a silent readiness, knowing that chaos will come, but it doesn't have to consume you. In that preparation lies your strength. 3. Own your life, no blame, no excuses. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming others for our struggles. A bad day at work. The boss is too demanding. A fight with a loved one, they were being unreasonable. A missed opportunity, the timing wasn't right. Day after day, we weave a narrative where the world is the villain and we are the helpless victims. But the truth is, every time we point fingers, we give away our power. We surrender control over our lives to circumstances, people, or events that we cannot change, and in doing so, we remain stuck. The Stoics had a different approach. They believed that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, famously said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the cornerstone of owning your life, understanding that your response or not, the external world, defines your reality. Think about Laura, a single mother juggling 2 jobs and raising her daughter. Every morning she used to wake exhausted, blaming her circumstances for her stress. "If only I had more money," she would think. "If only my ex were more supportive." Her days were filled with frustration and resentment. Then one evening, after snapping at her daughter for spilling milk, Laura had a moment of clarity. She realized that while she couldn't change her situation overnight, she could change how she approached it. She began waking up 30 minutes earlier to plan her day. She started journaling, not to complain, but to reflect on what she could do differently. Slowly, the shift in her mindset transformed her life. Laura stopped blaming others and took ownership of her actions, and in doing so, she found a sense of calm amidst the chaos. When you own your life, you stop waiting for the world to change. You take responsibility for your choices, your emotions, and your mindset. This doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong. It means recognizing that you have the power to choose your response. It's about moving from a place of reaction to a place of intention. Consider the story of Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and author of Man's Search for Meaning. Despite enduring unimaginable suffering, Frankl chose to focus on what he could control: his attitude. He wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." His ability to take ownership of his inner world, even in the face of external horrors, is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. In everyday life, taking ownership might look like apologizing when you've hurt someone instead of justifying your actions. It might mean acknowledging that procrastination, not a lack of time, is why you missed a deadline. It might mean choosing to let go of resentment and focus on solutions instead of problems. The next time you feel tempted to blame someone or something for your unhappiness, pause. Take a silent moment to ask yourself, what's within my control right now? This question can shift your perspective and redirect your energy toward growth. Blame is easy, but it keeps you powerless. Ownership is hard, but it sets you free. When you stop making excuses, you reclaim the steering wheel of your life. You stop being a passive passenger and become the driver. And in that moment, you realize that true freedom doesn't come from a perfect set of circumstances. It comes from the courage to take full responsibility for your journey. 4. Begin with gratitude, not demands. Each morning, as the world wakes up, there is a moment of silencia, a brief pause before the noise of the day begins. It is in this stillness that we often make a choice, though we may not realize it. We either begin our day with gratitude, or we start it with demands. Gratitude centers us, while demands pull us into a spiral of dissatisfaction, setting a tone of frustration and unfulfilled expectations. The choice is ours. Think of a man named David, a corporate executive with a packed schedule and endless responsibilities. For years, his mornings followed the same pattern. He would wake up, immediately check his phone, and feel the weight of his to-do list pressing down on him. His mind raced with demands, deadlines to meet, emails to send, problems to solve. By the time he stepped out of bed, he was already stressed. One day, on the advice of a friend, David decided to start his mornings differently. Instead of reaching for his phone, he sat silently and reflected on 3 things he was grateful for. At first, it felt awkward, but over time, it became a habit. He began to notice a profound shift in his mindset. Gratitude didn't erase his challenges, but it gave him the strength to face them with calm and clarity. Gratitude is not about ignoring the difficulties of life. It is about recognizing the blessings that coexist with them. When you start your day by focusing on what you have rather than what you lack, you create a foundation of contentment. This doesn't mean you stop striving for more. It means you approach your goals from a place of abundance, not scarcity. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Consider the simple things we often overlook: the warmth of sunlight streaming through your window, the quiet strength of a loved one's support, or even the breath that sustains you. These are not small things, they are life itself. Yet, in the rush of daily demands, we forget to notice them. Gratitude is the practice of bringing them back into focus. This shift in perspective is not just philosophical, it has practical benefits. Studies in psychology have shown that practicing gratitude can improve mental health, reduce stress, and enhance relationships. When you start your day with gratitude, you are less likely to be reactive and more likely to respond thoughtfully to challenges. You become the calm in the storm, grounded by the silent acknowledgement of life's gifts. Let's take a broader view. In a society obsessed with achievement, we are conditioned to measure our worth by what we do, what we own, and how much we accomplish. This mindset creates a constant state of striving where nothing is ever enough. Gratitude disrupts this cycle. It reminds us that while ambition drives us forward, appreciation keeps us grounded. As Oprah Winfrey once said, "Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough." So tomorrow morning, before the demands of the day take over, pause. Take a silent moment to reflect on what you are grateful for. It could be as simple as the comfort of your bed or the opportunity to begin again. Write it down if you can. Let gratitude be the first thought that shapes your day. Not only will it change how you feel, but it will also change how you respond to the world. Gratitude is not a destination, it's a practice. And when you begin your day with gratitude, you set the tone for a life that is not defined by what is missing, but by the silent abundance that has always been there. 5. Cut the noise, focus on what truly matters. In a world that thrives on noise, silence has become a rare luxury. Every day, we are bombarded by endless notifications, the hum of conversations, the lure of social media, and the constant pressure to keep up. It's no wonder so many of us feel overwhelmed, stretched thin by the demands of a world that never seems to pause. But beneath all this noise lies the quiet truth. Most of it doesn't matter. The emails, the opinions of others, the endless stream of trivial updates, they distract us from what truly deserves our attention. The question is, how much of your life are you willing to sacrifice to the noise? To focus on what truly matters, you must first learn to cut through the clutter. Think of your life as a garden. If you let every weed grow unchecked, it will choke the flowers. The same is true of your time and energy. When you allow distractions to dominate your day, they suffocate your ability to focus on the things that bring meaning and purpose to your life. As the philosopher Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The noise wastes your time, and it's up to you to reclaim it. Consider Sarah, a young entrepreneur who spent her days juggling endless tasks, answering every call, and saying yes to every request. Her schedule was packed, but her progress felt stagnant. One evening, exhausted and frustrated, she sat down and wrote a list of everything she was doing. Then, she asked herself a simple question: what truly matters to me? To her surprise, most of her time was spent on things that didn't align with her goals or values. She decided to simplify. She started saying no to unimportant meetings, turned off her phone during focused work, and set clear boundaries. Within weeks, Sarah noticed a profound change, not just in her productivity, but in her sense of peace. The truth is, cutting the noise isn't easy. It requires discipline and a willingness to let go of things that feel urgent but aren't important. It means silencing the endless scroll of social media, stepping away from toxic relationships, and learning to be comfortable with the silent moments that come with clarity. But in doing so, you create space for what truly matters: meaningful work, deep relationships, and personal growth. Even celebrities, who seem to have everything, have spoken about the importance of simplicity. Steve Jobs, known for his razor-sharp focus, once said, "It's only by saying no that you can concentrate on the things that are really important." This principle applies to all of us. Whether you're a parent, a professional, or a student, your time and energy are finite. Spending them on distractions is a disservice to yourself and the life you want to build. So, how do you begin? Start small. Identify one thing in your life that feels like noisier habit, a commitment, or even a mindset. Let it go. Then, focus on what remains. You'll find that silence isn't empty. It's full of clarity. When you cut the noise, you create room to hear what truly matters: your purpose, your passions, and the quiet voice within you that has been waiting to be heard. Life is too short to waste on the trivial. As the poet Rumi once wrote, "Be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop." By letting go of the noise, you make space for the things that truly matter to grow. And in that silent clarity, you'll find the life you've been searching for. 6. Don't chase your emotions, observe them. Emotions are like waves crashing against the shore, powerful, relentless, and often uncontrollable. They rise without warning, pulling us into their depths, dictating our actions and clouding our judgment. Anger flares up like a sudden storm, sadness lingers like a fog, and joy can feel fleeting, like sunlight slipping through the clouds. But what if, instead of being swept away by these waves, you learned to stand still? What if you could observe them silently, without judgment, and let them pass? This is not detachment, it is mastery. The Stoics believed that emotions are not inherently bad. They are a natural part of being human. However, what matters is how we respond to them. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This strength comes from learning to observe your emotions rather than chasing them. To chase your emotions is to let them control you, to react impulsively, and to make decisions you might later regret. To observe them, however, is to create space between the feeling and the action, allowing clarity to emerge. Consider a story of two colleagues, Sarah and James, who worked on a high-stakes project. When their presentation didn't go as planned, Sarah immediately felt a surge of anger. She lashed out at James, blaming him for the failure. Her reaction only worsened the situation, straining their relationship and leaving her with regret. James, on the other hand, felt the same disappointment, but instead of reacting, he took a silent moment to acknowledge his frustration. He reminded himself that emotions are temporary and that reacting impulsively would solve nothing. Later, he approached Sarah calmly, discussed the mistakes, and proposed solutions. In the same situation, two people felt the same emotion, but their responses shaped entirely different outcomes. Observing your emotions doesn't mean suppressing them. Suppression is like trying to hold back a river. It only builds pressure until it bursts. Observation, on the other hand, is like standing on the riverbank, watching the water flow. You acknowledge the emotion, name it, and let it pass without letting it define you. This practice, often referred to in modern psychology as mindfulness, has its roots in ancient wisdom. It teaches us to pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Take a moment to think about how often emotions dictate your actions. How many arguments could have been avoided if you had paused before speaking in anger? How many opportunities have you missed because fear held you back? How many times have you chased fleeting happiness only to find it slipping through your fingers? The key is not to deny these emotions, but to approach them with curiosity and patience. As Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychologist, wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Practical steps can help you cultivate this habit. The next time you feel overwhelmed by an emotion, pause. Take a deep breath. Label the emotion: I am feeling angry, sad, or anxious. Then ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What can I do about it? This silent reflection creates a gap between the emotion and the action, giving you the clarity to respond wisely. Life will always bring challenges, and emotions will rise and fall like the tides. But by observing them rather than chasing them, you gain control over your inner world. You become the calm amidst the storm, the steady rock that the waves cannot move. And in that stillness, you find the strength to live with purpose, clarity, and grace. 7. Praise or criticism stay unmoved. In life, praise and criticism are two sides of the same coin, constantly tossed by the world around us. One moment, you are celebrated, and the next, you are questioned. The applause of others can feel like a warm embrace, while their disapproval can cut deep, leaving scars on your confidence. But here's the truth: both are fleeting, and neither defines your worth. To live a life of purpose and authenticity, you must learn to remain unmoved by the opinions of others, whether they lift you up or pull you down. Consider the story of Emily, a talented artist who poured her soul into her work. When her first exhibition opened, the reviews were mixed. Some critics hailed her as a visionary, while others dismissed her as overrated. At first, she was elated by the praise, only to be crushed by the criticism that followed. Her emotions rose and fell with every comment, leaving her drained and uncertain. One day, a mentor advised her, "Don't let the noise of others drown out your inner voice. Praise and criticism are like the wind, let them pass without shifting your course." Emily took this to heart. She began to focus on her craft, anchoring herself to her values and the joy of creation rather than the opinions of others. Over time, she found peace not in the approval of the world, but in the quiet confidence of staying true to herself. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Praise and criticism are external events, beyond your control. What you can control is your reaction to them. When you let your self-worth depend on external validation, you give others the power to dictate your happiness. But when you root your confidence in your own values and integrity, you become unshakable. Think of the celebrities who rise and fall in the public eye. One day they are adored by millions. The next, they are torn apart by the same people who once celebrated them. Yet, the ones who endure are those who remain grounded, who understand that their worth is not tied to the fickle opinions of the crowd. Oprah Winfrey, for example, has faced both immense praise and harsh criticism throughout her career. Yet, she once said, "I don't let praise or criticism get to me. I know who I am." This clarity is what allows her and anyone who follows this principle to stay focused on their purpose. In your own life, this might mean ignoring the praise that tempts you to rest on your laurels or the criticism that makes you doubt yourself. It means staying silent in the face of both, reflecting instead on whether your actions align with your values. Did you act with integrity? Did you stay true to your purpose? If the answer is yes, that is all the validation you need. The next time someone praises you, accept it with gratitude, but don't let it inflate your ego. When someone criticizes you, listen with humility, but don't let it crush your spirit. Both are fleeting, like passing clouds in the sky. What matters is the silent, steady core within you, the part that knows who you are and what you stand for. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." Stay true to yourself. Praise or criticism will come and go, but your integrity will remain unshaken and eternal. 8. Detach from results. Master your effort. In a world that glorifies success and outcomes, we often find ourselves trapped in an endless cycle of chasing results. From the moment we start a project, a relationship, or even a personal goal, our minds fixate on the end. Will we succeed or fail? Will we be acknowledged or ignored? This obsession with results can cloud our judgment, drain our energy, and rob us of the joy found in the process itself. But the truth is, the outcome is never fully in our control. What is in our control, however, is the effort we put in, the silent, deliberate work that defines our character and shapes our destiny. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus, the great philosopher, said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." This simple yet profound wisdom reminds us that while we can control our actions, the results are often shaped by forces beyond us: luck, timing, the decisions of others, and even the unpredictable nature of life itself. Clinging to outcomes is like trying to hold water in your hands. It slips through, leaving you frustrated and empty. But when you focus on your effort, you reclaim your power, finding fulfillment in the process rather than the result. Consider the story of Michael, a young writer who dreamed of publishing a best-selling novel. For years, he poured his heart into his work, crafting stories that reflected his deepest truths. But when he sent his manuscript to publishers, rejection letters piled up. Disheartened, he began to question his talent and purpose. One day, a mentor told him, "Your job is not to control whether the world loves your work. Your job is to write with honesty, to give it your all, and to let go of the rest." With this shift in mindset, Michael stopped obsessing over success and started focusing on his craft. Eventually, His work found its audience not because he chased results, but because he mastered his effort. This principle applies to every aspect of life. In relationships, you cannot control how others will respond to your love, but you can choose to love wholeheartedly. At work, you cannot guarantee a promotion, but you can give your best to every task. In personal growth, you cannot predict how quickly you'll reach your goals, but you can commit to showing up every day. Detaching from results doesn't mean giving up on ambition, means freeing yourself from the anxiety of outcomes so you can focus on what truly matters: the integrity of your effort. Even some of the most successful people in the world have embraced this mindset. Legendary basketball coach John Wooden famously said, "Success is peace of mind," which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming. This perspective shifts the focus from external validation to internal fulfillment. When you give your best, you've already succeeded, regardless of the outcome. To practice this in your own life, start by setting goals that center on effort rather than results. Instead of saying, "I want to lose 10 pounds, say, "I will exercise consistently and eat mindfully." Instead of saying, "I want to get promoted," say, "I will dedicate myself to learning and improving at my job." By focusing on what you can control, you free yourself from the burden of what you cannot. Life is unpredictable, and no amount of planning can guarantee a specific outcome. But when you master your effort, you find peace in knowing that you've done your part. The rest is behind you, and that's okay. As the Bhagavad Gita wisely teaches, you have a right to perform your duties, but not to the fruits of your actions. Let this truth guide you. Focus on your effort. Let go of the results, and trust that the silent work you put in will lead you exactly where you're meant to be. 9. Look at life as if it's the last time you'll see it. Life is fleeting, a delicate thread that can unravel at any moment. Yet, too often, we live as if time is infinite, as if tomorrow is guaranteed. We rush through our days, distracted by trivialities, blind to the beauty that surrounds us. But what if you approached life differently? What if you lived each moment as though it were the last time you'd see it? This shift in perspective is not meant to instill fear, but to awaken gratitude and presence, to remind you that life is not measured in years, but in moments fully lived. Picture a father sitting with his young daughter on a quiet afternoon. She's laughing as she shows him her latest drawing, her eyes sparkling with pride. The father nods absent-mindedly, scrolling through his phone, promising himself he'll pay attention later. But later never comes. The years pass, and one day, that little girl is grown, her laughter a distant memory. He looks back, wishing he had truly seen her in those moments, her joy, her innocence, the silent beauty that was right in front of him. This is the tragedy of taking life for granted. We only realize its value when it's gone. The Stoics understood the fragility of life and taught the practice of memento mori, or remembering death. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is not a morbid thought, but a call to live with urgency and purpose. When you view life through this lens, the mundane becomes extraordinary. The sunrise you see today might be the last one you'll witness. The conversation with a loved one might be the final exchange of words. The meal you eat, the book you read, the silent walk in the park, all of it becomes precious when you realize it's not guaranteed. This mindset is not reserved for philosophers or poets. Even in the modern world, those who have faced the fragility of life often speak of its transformative power. Consider Steve Jobs, who, after being diagnosed with cancer, said, "Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose." His words remind us that when we live, as if time is limited, we stop wasting it on things that don't matter: petty arguments, shallow pursuits, or endless distractions. To live as if it's the last time doesn't mean abandoning responsibilities or indulging in reckless behavior. It means embracing the present with full awareness. It means pausing to truly listen when a friend speaks, savoring the taste of your morning coffee, or simply sitting in silent appreciation of the world around you. It means letting go of grudges, forgiving more freely, and loving more deeply. When you live this way, life becomes richer, more meaningful, and infinitely more beautiful. If you need a practical way to cultivate this mindset, start by asking yourself this question at the end of each day. If today were my last, would I be satisfied with how I lived it? Let this reflection guide your choices. Say the words you've been holding back. Take the trip you've been postponing. Hug the people you love a little tighter. Life is not a rehearsal, it's a one-time performance, and every moment is an opportunity to make it count. As the poet Mary Oliver once asked, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" The answer lies in how you choose to see the world. Look at life as if it's the last time you'll see it. In doing so, you'll not only appreciate its beauty but also leave behind a legacy of presence, gratitude, and love. Life is a fleeting gift, a series of moments that we often take for granted. Yet, as the Stoics remind us, the power to live fully lies in how we choose to approach each day. Purpose wakes you up, not caffeine. Gratitude centers you, not demands. Resilience prepares you for chaos, while detachment from outcomes frees you from anxiety. And above all, living as if today were your last brings clarity, meaning, and peace to your existence. The truth is, you cannot control the world around you's chaos, its noise, or its fleeting opinions. But you can control your mind, your actions, and your perspective. Take ownership of your life. Focus on what matters. Observe your emotions. Don't chase them. Let go of the things you cannot control and embrace the beauty of the present moment. Every choice you make, no matter how small, shapes the life you live. So, as you step into tomorrow, ask yourself, what will I do with this one wild and precious life? Will you let it slip by unnoticed? Or will you live it with intention, gratitude, and courage? The decision is yours, and the time to act is now. If this message resonated with you, don't let it end here. Join our community by subscribing to this channel, where we explore timeless wisdom, practical philosophy, and the art of living fully. Together, let's fuel our minds with calmness, purpose, and clarity every morning. Remember, life is too short to waste, so Live it well and live it meaningfully. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay inspired.